Virtual reality, or VR for short, is supposedly the next big thing for gaming. It's been all over the news lately, and it seems every company on the planet remotely related to any kind of video games or electronics seems to be making their own VR headset. Virtual reality is nothing new. It has been tried before by big gaming companies like Nintendo and Sega and failed to catch on, being the most famous example the awful Virtual Boy by Nintendo. But times have changed, and most people who have tried recent VR technologies seem to agree that the technology is finally ready. Anyone who tries this technology immediately becomes a believer, proving this is what the gamers want. It all started with the Oculus Rift back in 2012. Through a Kickstarter campaign, the project got enough funding to develop the initial prototype and put VR in developers' hands. From there, it was just a question of time until word spread out about its amazing capabilities. After gaining a lot of momentum thanks to the gaming community, other companies started to take notice. And now we have Sony with Morpheus and Valve and HTC with the Vive, together with a whole bunch of smaller companies, all competing for this market. But while we already seem to have perception of the game world covered, most seem to forget the other big aspect of video games: interaction. Interaction is what defines video games. Two video games could have the exact same gameplay elements and mechanics and yet be completely different depending on the way we interact with them. Games are only games because they involve some kind of interaction with the user, and without it they would be nothing more than real-time rendered movies. Now, I don't mean to say that this issue hasn't been addressed yet. Most companies already have some kind of motion tracking device developed and implemented. The PlayStation Move from Sony, the Wiimote from Nintendo, the Kinect by Microsoft or the Hydra by Razer have all been used in some of the more recent VR demos already. But none of them seem to really address the important questions about how do we interact with VR. Questions like, how much of the human body do we need to emulate to actually feel comfortably immersed? How much scope of interaction will the users be comfortable with? It's a bit hard to explain exactly what I mean, so give me a chance here. Think of it like this. When you put the VR headset on and try to move your head around, you feel immersed. Your movements are translated in the game, and so you feel like you truly exist inside it. But then you want to move around and do things. Instead of getting up and walking, you are forced to use a controller. The immersion gets immediately broken. Basically, finding a way to properly emulate basic gaming aspects like moving around or using your hands becomes really important. And it isn't as simple as making real-life counterparts of those body parts either. I don't want to be flailing around my arms in a small room just to swing a sword in game. And I also don't want to actually run around in real life to move around in the game world. I mean, sure, there are going to be people who want to be fully immersed, with complete body tracking to the most infinite detail. But those people probably also have big wallets, and an empty room at home to properly fit all the contraptions needed for such a level of immersion. The rest of the community though don't have those luxuries, and for them, a quiet, more compact and less exerting solution is probably best, and cheaper. Basically, we need to find ways to properly emulate these aspects without tiresome real-life counterparts. I think it should be more about connecting other body parts to the game, more than precisely emulating them. Move input away from the fingers and into their respective body parts, like movement to the legs and interaction to the arms. Small things like rumblers in our devices to simulate vibration or impact, or to signal you're touching something, or a kind of joystick for our feet in order to control movement. Imagine just a set of wireless buttons that you could place all over your body and program for certain actions. Touch the button in your shoulder to pull out another gun, the one in your belt to open the inventory, and so on. Hope you got my point. In the end, I guess we can only wait. Until a proper consumer version of any VR headset comes out, we won't be seeing any proper games being developed for them, and their true potential being achieved. Personally, I remain cautiously optimistic. Most companies seem to be holding back their releases in order to properly finish their products and think things through. It only takes one bad release for VR to go back into the darkness, and I think no one wants that. Not only that, but the company that started it all, Oculus, understands my concerns. Lucky Palmer himself, the founder of Oculus, explained in a recent conference that the reason why they're delaying the release of their headset is because they're first trying to tackle the problem of how players interact with VR. They know how that single aspect could make or break VR. Finally, I think VR could bring about the change that the gaming industry has been needing. Games in recent years have become too standard, and we've all heard the argument about how they're lacking innovation. VR could be what makes gaming exciting again, and everyone seems to agree. The community is already backing the idea in force, and most companies seem to be in support of the technology as well. All that's left is to wait for VR to finally come out and see what developers can come up with. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my perspective on VR. Any comments or suggestions about this video, leave them in the comments. Leave a like and share this video with your game-savvy friends to help me grow the channel. It would really help me out a lot. And as always, subscribe for future videos.